This community has to be one of the most gullible ones I know of. It is ridiculous how easily you all, like a big percentage of the people, believed a child predator. But we'll get to that part later. I'm explaining everything from May 2024 into, well, now, basically. This all started in May to June of 2024 when I met an individual by the name of Switch. I met him multiple times through my fan code, Carloupe, and he had become friends with my cousin, Bean. So I started seeing him more often, and I eventually added him. After being friends with this guy for about a month, we had become pretty close friends, and one day he asked me if he could vent to me. Of course I agreed because I had done this plenty of times before, and I was willing to help. Long ago, I used to be in a group chat with a bunch of my friends, and I was practically a therapist friend in that group. So I was used to being, helping other people. And then I thought, why would Switch be any different than all those people? At first it was fine. I helped him, and he was better for a while. Then he started reaching out to me again and again, and eventually he started doing it every single day. I was trapped helping him because I was afraid he'd do some serious damage to himself if I didn't. He claimed just being around me made him feel better. He wanted to be around me all the time, which led me to assume he had an obsession with me. When I wasn't available or didn't respond, he would threaten to harm himself in any way. Examples being self-harm, suicide, and overdosing. This dragged on for a couple months, leading me to think he couldn't handle being without me. And I didn't want to hurt him, so I stayed a good friend and tried to help him. This caused me to have what I thought was an attachment to him. He eventually asked me if we could be in a relationship. I told him to wait and let me think about it. He had been hinting at his care for me for a long while, and I knew that he liked me in that kind of way. I have evidence from whenever Switch had liked me at one point, and people would ship us together, which I did not appreciate, because I was not looking for a relationship at all at the time. In this clip, he claims he wants to make the ships real, which made me extremely uncomfortable, as you can see in the clip, whenever I rolled backward and did not want to continue the conversation, but you couldn't hear what I was saying because we were in Oculus call. In Oculus calls, you could not hear each other through recordings.
Alright, go into torture.
And now, and now the controllers.
Go up. I have a genuine question.
And now my sister should.
Why do people ship us? Just why? Can we make it real?
I'm kidding.
I'm joking. That was a joke. That was a joke.
Tomato, why do you keep on reporting me?
Carloupe, that was a joke. That was a joke. Don't kill me, please. That was a joke.
I was only muting you.
Plushy.
Did you kill yourself?
Do the washing machine review.
Okay, go.
Thinking that it would help his mental state, I agreed. But less than a day later, I immediately changed my mind. During these months, I had gone through surgery, so I was stuck at home having nothing else to do except for interact with others online while physically healing. Over time, my friends began to notice Switch's obsessive behavior over me, and Bean stepped forward. She told me that my best friend Umai was on the edge of a bridge, threatening to jump. She said that it was Switch's fault because I wasn't hanging around Umai nearly as much due to Switch's mental problems that I was trying to fix. Bean scolded me over messages, telling me to leave Switch, but I was stubborn, believing that I was attached to Switch and that I couldn't let him hurt himself. Either with or without him, he would do it no matter what. I did agree to leave him though, and I sent him a message. I told him that I could no longer be around him anymore because I had to stay with Umai more often. He agreed with these conditions and said farewell. But little did I know, this was far from the end. It turns out that this splitting up scheme wouldn't happen due to our so-called attachment to each other. We still talked, but I knew it was a problem to my friends, so I refused to listen to them. Around July to August of 2024, I met Smokey. At first I refused to talk to him, believing that he wasn't any good. B and I joined my code and found him there, and he wanted to know about the supposed doxing going on in the community. He had found out this information through a video that I had posted, one about how bad the community was getting, about the supposed doxing. Fun fact, there was no doxing done in mid-2024. Only threats to do so. And Switch, who had convinced me to make a video, claimed that posting about it would spread awareness. Here's a clip of whenever Smokey first showed up in the community.
I've stolen 40 player IDs. I've stolen 5 server player IDs. You think I can dox people? I've watched people not being able to dox. I've player tracked. I've been here since the start of fucking modding.
In this recording, he quite literally admits to not being able to dox, which I should have looked back at this video sooner.
but I didn't, so here it is now. Anyways, back to the main video.
Bean started talking to Smokey as expected, and later at each other. Slowly, I started to see Smokey more and more often, and eventually I got more comfortable around him, which led to me adding him myself. After about a month and a half of knowing him, you could say we were friends with benefits. Though the reason is, I felt safe around him because he claimed that he wasn't dating anyone until he was 16. Mind you, we were both 13 at the time. At least, that's what he told me. I told Smokey about Switch, and how uncomfortable I'd become after finally being aware of his underlying obsession with me. I don't remember exactly what happened, nor do I have any screenshot proof, but what I do know is that Switch publicly apologized on an old Discord server for saying something, and he claimed that he wouldn't do it again. I don't remember exactly what he was apologizing for. I believe it was some sort of inappropriate joke, from what I know, or at least remember. But this is completely unrelated to the drama now. In this Discord stage, Smokey told Switch to leave, and he did temporarily. With Switch finally gone, I thought I could relax, but this was just the beginning. In mid-September, Smokey confessed to me. He asked for a relationship, and I asked for some time to think about it. I didn't know what to say, paranoid of what could happen, but curious of the benefits it could have on me, especially after dealing with someone like Switch. I asked Bean for advice, which was probably the worst idea I've ever had. If you didn't know my cousin back in 2024, she'd at least dated half of the Carloupe community. So of course, she said I should do it. She said it would make me so much happier. So manipulated and convinced that this would help me, I agreed. Just 5 days after Smokey and I got together, he vented to me. He kept trying to push me away and kept me close at the same time. The mixed signals were not helping the situation at all. He claimed that he had cut himself over 20 to 30 times, and instead of asking for help, he told me to practically accept that information and continue hanging out with my best friend Umai. Trying to be the bigger person, I tried to stay and help him, but he continued to push me away and leave me with the guilt of not helping him. After all this, I completely forgot about it and let it slide for some reason, even though this was my first warning. During the first couple months of our relationship, we made a bit of a schedule. We would call at 3:30 p.m. every day. I would get home from school around 3 p.m. usually, which was fine at first. But I used to have a time limit on my phone that would allow my phone to be used from 6 a.m. to 9:30 p.m., except for weekends. And over time, my calls to Smokey would get longer and longer. This means we were on call for almost 6 hours daily, not including weekends, and adding this up, almost 30 hours weekly, around 100 hours monthly. This was not good, but I was gullible. I thought this was all fine until my social battery died out. But we'll get to that part later. Sometime in October, I was in school while messaging Smokey. I wasn't feeling the greatest and just asked for help. I was struggling with the belief that I was attached to Switch still. Smokey did not take this information well. He proceeded to send me crude messages saying that I should just abandon him and run off with Switch. I told him that I knew better than to run back to the person who successfully manipulated me, somehow. At the time of this happening, my mother did not know about this our relationship, and she would frequently check my messages, so at the end of each day, I would delete and reset all my chats with Smokey. In the same month, Switch started popping up again in my code. I didn't care at first. That was until he started trying to become friends with me again. When I told him no, he started showing up more often. I don't exactly remember what he would do or say, mostly just troll and claim how he needed to save me from Smokey. At this point, I was under a lot of pressure of all the work I was doing. I was working on the Maniac's Affection, making time to spend with friends, making time to spend with Smokey, dealing with small dramas, and keeping my grades up in school and other outside school activities. Eventually, I was so pissed by Switch, I wanted him out permanently.
Something I forgot to mention while recording is that there was a time I encountered Switch on my own. I was very angry that he was still around, and I ended up telling him to burn himself. Unfortunately, I don't have the clip of me saying this, but it was said out of blind anger.
I wanted him gone so desperately, so I asked Smokey if he could get rid of him. He agreed and got his friend Popcorn to dox Switch and his friends through a Gorilla Tag fan game that he was a moderator in. Wafflecorn manipulated them to be friends with him and eventually got them into the game, snagging their headset information. Him and Smokey then proceeded to threaten them all if they didn't leave. I knew this was all happening, but I only wanted Switch gone. I never cared for his friends. I didn't know the damage I was doing, too angry to care at the time. And then they were gone. Temporarily. These are not the only people doxed by Wafflecorn. Smokey continued to manipulate his friends to do his dirty work, sometimes even paying them gift cards to dox random people he didn't like in the community. Like I mentioned before, I only wanted one person doxed switch. Everything went by fine for a while. I was content around early November when I hit 100K. But around late November, I was getting tired because of being around Smokey 24/7. I cared about him, but I needed my own space, and 30 minutes wasn't enough. Sometime during this, I tried hanging around Umai more often, but Smokey wouldn't allow me. Once I had to stay on the phone with Smokey with my mic on as I talked to Umai on a separate device. He wanted to hear everything we said. Not soon after this, Smokey shined a false light on Umai, saying that she was a bad influence on me, and said that I should unfriend her. And being gullible as hell, I agreed. I don't remember the exact date, sometime between November and January, Smokey started making sexual remarks toward me. For example, one late night, he said he wanted to see my body, so me in nothing but a bra. Luckily, I was smart enough to not be convinced by his words, and didn't send him any pictures. He also said that if we ever met up, we would cuddle. And I thought, sure, that's fine. That wasn't until I asked, what if I tried to get up? Tried to go to the bathroom or something. He said he wouldn't let me, and if I did go to the bathroom, he claimed that he would follow me and have sexual intercourse with me. I didn't ask if I had to give him consent or not. He would also call me a series of nicknames, such as Hun. Here's a clip of him calling me Honey.
What the fuck is this? Honey?
What?
That.
Where?
Do you not see
Oh!
And sometimes even Mommy. He asked me to call him Daddy in return, but I said I was uncomfortable with it. Smokey covered this up by saying he was just joking around, and he said he wouldn't do it often. But he was very wrong. Calling me Mommy almost twice every day? Really? Before any of this, I specifically told him that I didn't like anything sexual, like any minor should. But he thought he could change that. Reminder, I was 13 years old. Finally, February runs around, and I was tired of the constant calls with Smokey. So on February 4th, I asked for a break, to which he immediately victimized himself. He said things like, oh, you just want to break up with me, or I do so much for you, and you never give anything in return. I wanted 3 days on my own. 3 days, and that's all. We argued a bit over it, and then he shoved me away and left me with the goal of hurting him. Even though I just wanted time to myself. A single day goes by. It is late night on February 5th. I was chatting with one of my friends, Loaf, when I get a call from Smokey. I assumed he was calling to say goodnight, like he said he would, but I was very wrong. He said he was tired of my lies and wanted to be over. I only said okay because I didn't want to argue about it. Smokey wishes me a good life and hangs up. And I continued to message Loaf until my time limit went off. Another day passes, and I wasn't doing the greatest. I was at school, there was a 2-hour delay due to weather issues, and the day before that, I had asked my school friend to help me open my locker to put my gym bag in. Speaking of which, I did not know how to open a locker because at my old school, I didn't use lockers, and this was my first year at this new school. So I texted my school asking her to come and help me. She doesn't respond. I went to hide in the bathroom, but Bean saw me as I went. I found 2 of my friends in the bathroom, and they were obviously concerned. I didn't tell them everything, I only said that I was stressed out and couldn't open my locker. I stepped out of my stall and saw my cousin, who stood there pretending to be worried, and throughout the rest of that day, nothing else happened. Another day passes. On the evening of February 7th, I was on my headset playing with my friend Neela and her partner, Shadow. We talked for a while, and I got a message from another friend of mine, Brayden. Mind you, I had known Brayden since 2023, and I trusted him with my heart. I even FaceTimed him before because of how much I trusted him. And I checked the message he sent, and he said, yo, you just got doxxed, with an image sent by Smokey on multiple Discord servers. This caused me to panic, fearing for my own safety at the time. I had enough and thought it should all be over with, so I had a pathetic attempt. I knew it wasn't going to work out, and threw up 4 times that night. We'll never do it again, and neither should you. If you're ever under any pressure, don't do that. Don't do that. The next morning I wake up early, added to a group chat with Smokey and Brayden. Brayden had added me to this group chat because I already had Smokey blocked. In this chat, I was threatened and mocked multiple times by Smokey. He said many sexist and racist remarks. He claimed that him and his friends would do worse to me, like getting my router information. He also claimed that he never cared about me, that everything was practically a setup. After a while of banter, he left, and I didn't see him long after that. Over the next couple days, I stayed in contact with Neela, the last person I trusted or even had contact with since I disabled my Discord account. We were talking over Snapchat, so I knew when she would take screenshots. She took multiple screenshots of our conversations and said, "Oops, I didn't mean to do that," though it was very much intentional. After she did this, I was done. I blocked Neela on all platforms, losing my trust completely. Later on, I saw these screenshots in a community post made by Smokey. I didn't contact anyone after this, temporarily isolating myself for a couple months until I gained the courage to talk to Umai again in April, after Smokey had cut off our contact. Not much happened throughout spring and summer, from what I recall, but around July or August, I met Wired. My friend Lux introduced me and him together, which I already knew him because somehow I forgot about what he did, but he was one of the people who helped Wafflecorn and Smokey. But something had happened between him and Smokey, which later on he told me himself, and he will explain himself later on this video. In this call, he apologized to me multiple times, stating that he was under manipulation of Smokey, which he was. And over the span of a couple months, he told me about a project he wanted to make, Carloupe Countdown. I had no intentions on coming back to YouTube at all, until Wire brought up the idea of Carloupe Countdown, of course. After a while of convincing, I agreed and started helping them with this project. To which it was, I would say, a semi-success. It wasn't the greatest, but it worked. But many of the videos hadn't explained the whole story, so this is exactly why I'm making this video now. I have a couple witnesses that I'll bring up, Warrior and Wired. Now Wired will come up and explain his experience with Smokey, what happened while they were friends, what happened during the doxing, and how their friendship fell apart, and why.
Hi. My name is, Wired. I was, one of, Smokey's, former friends. I'm gonna tell you about some things he did to get him started, like his personality before all, like, the doxing stuff. He was, very nice. He had a very good poker face. He would, there was one thing he would do, though. He would very constantly slip up, and he would say the N-word a lot, and it's not even funny. He would say slurs a lot. And it was very disgusting. He was very, like, say, mundane. He was, like, very weird. But he knew how to gain people's trust easily. He gained my trust easily. And personally, I met him first before I met Carloupe, right? I was obviously in the Carloupe community when I met him. I didn't really do much in that community, though. There's not really a lot before the doxing. The real changes start happening after. Alright, so our friendship after the doxing was very, very weird. Because he was like, what's it? He'd be really nice one day, and the next day he'd be like, fuck off. If you didn't know, he had a, after he literally broke up with Carloupe, he got a new girlfriend named, I think Winnie. And if you don't know, this is around when the Friend Machine first released. And I joined him, and he got really mad because his, like, new girlfriend or whatever was in the lobby when I joined him. And I accidentally joined him, to clear that up. I didn't mean to, because I don't know if you guys remember, but it was, like, in the middle of Stump, and I was just, something I do, I kind of just jump around, squirm around, all that. And I accidentally hit the join button on his Friend Machine. Took me to it. There was this big argument. Carloupe, put the screenshots right here. Right here. Right here. Right here.
Kabam!
We got in a big argument from that. And I don't think we viewed each other the same. He, so obviously, he knew Carloupe's school from the doxing and all that. He knew, like, Carloupe's address. He knew Carloupe, all that. You know what doxing is, guys. Come on, it's personal information leak. He knew her school. And what he did, I was actually on the call with him when he did this. And I personally tried staying out of it. He called Carloupe's school, and obviously I don't have evidence. This was on a call. And he was like, he was talking about so this person, I'm from a different school that I used to know. Like I used to know her. Her name is and then Carloupe's full name, and be like, yeah, she's trying to commit suicide in y'all's school. True story, very true story. And he wanted me to speak on behalf of it. I didn't say anything because I didn't want to get involved or anything like that. He was just talking about like, oh, go check up on her, get her into the office or whatever he was trying to do. And yeah, he was very weird. It was very obsessive. I don't think anybody should be calling their ex at school for no fucking reason. Like, it was literally just to get Carloupe in trouble, and I think that's creepy because, you know, that's your fucking ex. Move the fuck on. Here's where it gets a bit confusing for people. From what I know, Smokey is a minor. Minor, yes. Under the age of 18. Right? I just got a voice warning. What he would do, I have a screenshot. Carloupe, I know you have this. Put it right here. This guy was asking some very weird questions. This is one of the most important things. He said, send me CP. If you don't know what CP means, don't look it up. It's a bad term. Then there's the downfall of our friendship. I didn't even know about half the things, like the CP stuff, because somebody that was closer to him sent me the screenshots that they had of what he was doing. And this friend of mine, I still talk to him. And Smokey was very bad. And, you know, when he was like, oh, I'm gonna goon you in the butt, I always took it as like a joke, you know. I didn't think of like he was actually meaning it. But like, yeah. Here's the downfall of our friendship. This is where it gets very confusing. August, July, I don't know. My sister was having a baby, right? My sister's 20. I was going to go see my baby niece, right? I wanted to see, right? And this guy, Smokey, as I'm in the car driving to our hotel, since she lives across the country, he started a big-ass argument with me about, like, all this, like, oh, you think you can just use us, and you think you're gonna use information on us. And I'm like, what the fuck are you talking about? Started an argument for no reason, started blaming things on me. He said he would send screenshots of me to, like, YouTubers or some shit. I think I have screenshots. I'll send them. And then, yeah, there's the, manipulation tactics he would do. If you didn't know, Smokey is, like, a very, manipulative person. As I said, gains your trust, he breaks it, makes it seem like it's your fault. That's the main way to describe it. I can't go in full detail what he did, because I want to keep this short. I think that's really it. I mean, there's other stuff, but I just don't have enough evidence behind that to talk about it. So, yeah. Bye.
Yo, Smokey.
What warrior?
What you know about dominant woman stepping on you?
Alright, so this is my story on the Smokey drama. August or September of 2024. And this is around the time Smokey started to be in the community. And a couple days later, me, him, and Carloupe, and some other well-known people from the community were in a private code, and we were all, you know, having fun or whatever. And then Smokey just randomly brought up that I told Carloupe that she should commit self-harm. And I never said this. Like, I literally never said this. He said he had proof, and bro did not have proof. Like, there's no proof that I said that. So this caused most people to dislike me. But as time went by, I found out that Smokey was actually spreading false accusations about me that drive me out the code and make people hate me for some reason. And I don't know why. So I quit Gorilla Tag because of that, because I just couldn't deal with all the hate. And so I quit for around a year. Then around a year later, August 2025, I was on vacation, so I decided to go on my VR, and join the code again. When I joined the code, there was nobody in there but Smokey. He told me that he was sorry for what he did, and all of it was just false rumors that somebody told him. But I know he was lying, because I had proof that he was making those up just to drive me out the code. So, back to around September 2024, before I quit, there was a group chat with a bunch of other people, me, Smokey, Carloupe, and a bunch of other people. He texted Polar saying, "Ban Warrior, he's not Carloupe's friend." Now, it was untrue because at the time, I was Carloupe's friend. But the next day, after that, I was banned and told that Carloupe didn't want to be my friend anymore. Something like that just doesn't randomly happen unless Smokey had told Carloupe something about me that wasn't true to the point where she banned me from the group chat. I pretended to forgive him, but I knew who he really was. So after 2 weeks of telling and trying to convince people who Smokey really was, come to find out that he wasn't really a great person at all. He was a manipulative child predator. And he was the type of guy. He also really liked dominant women stepping on him for some reason. I don't know why. But anyway, that's my story. I don't know. I'm a fanboy, by the way.
Now, addressing the points in the drama videos made on me, mostly from Mega and you and Bapples, I honestly feel bad for both these people because they were very heavily manipulated by Smokey from what I have figured out. For Megwin's news video, Smokey took many out-of-context screenshots and used them against me, one of which being the screenshot from Umai, who was quote-unquote trying to jump off a bridge at the time, even though that screenshot was way before I'd even met Smokey. He claimed that I did not care about my friends, even though this is completely false. I was just extremely busy while dealing with Switch, Bean, and Umai all at the same time I was in a public space. Many of the screenshots from Megwin News video are out of context and are not used properly. During the relationship with me and Smokey, I was very concerned for how much he was talking about how he could dox, which made me almost not afraid of him, but afraid of what he could possibly do. Which this caused me to start lying to him, because I was afraid of how he would react if I had done something wrong, supposedly. I can't remember specifically what I lied about, but I knew he wasn't happy with me after. And Smokey brings up the lying point a lot in the Meg 1U video. Now, in Bapples' video, he had completely lied. All the information he had gotten was false information from Switch. And Switch had gotten this information when he was drunk, supposedly, but I'm pretty sure he's legal age in his area. Either way, not very good. An older point in one of Bapples' older videos on me, he had claimed that I had a Rule 34 account, which this information was proved wrong way before Smokey and I even broke up. Because first of all, I have parental controls on all my devices, and there's no way I could possibly make an account on that website. I did not make a proper outro, so that's pretty much all that I really need to say on this drama, and I will never mention this again unless it's, like, extremely necessary, so that's all I have to say for now. Bye-byes. She said that Smokey making kind of friends. Oops. Another wow.